It's like everybody's gluten sensitive or intolerant now. And it's like so funny because people get really annoyed at it. And I'm one of those people that is gluten sensitive. If this is your first time here, I am Crystal Ray, and if you don't know, I am a health coach and an empowerment coach, and I teach you how to stress less. And we look at the foods you're eating, the thoughts you are thinking, and how you are exercising, and we really figure out how to get you calmer. So I'm here sharing my tips and tricks and teaching you how to live a more holistically healthy life. So I want to clear up the air about gluten. You know, gluten gets a pretty bad rap. And it should. There are reasons for it. But I really want to help you understand why so many people nowadays are coming out with a gluten sensitivity. And let me just explain the difference between an intolerance and a sensitivity. If you're somebody who has celiac disease, it means that when you eat gluten, your immune system is reacting pretty much immediately. And a lot of times you get very sick. You could be throwing up, you could have diarrhea, you could have rashes, whatever the case might be. You might have extreme stomach aches, but if you're somebody with celiac, pretty quickly, you can't have gluten. If you're somebody who is just sensitive, what may happen is that you might eat gluten and not really understand what's happening, and it could take up to 3 days for you to experience any symptoms. So you might have some bread, some pasta, some cake, and I don't know, you kind of start to feel off. And some of the symptoms when it comes to a gluten sensitivity could be moodiness, brain fog, you might feel fatigue, you might get headaches, you might have a sore throat, you might have indigestion, you might have diarrhea, you might have gas. Your body is just kind of like, this doesn't feel good. I don't feel energized. I don't feel clear. Like I feel bogged down. Something is not right with me. And sometimes you might have a gluten sensitivity that may not really be showing up in blood work. You might have to get a more extensive test done where they are testing you for the multiple proteins in gluten. So let's break down what gluten is. Gluten is essentially a protein in wheat. And there are many different types in a wheat variation. There's many different types of proteins that make up the wheat. And sometimes we are reacting to one of them and not another one. So getting that extensive test is going to give you a much better idea as to what is it if you do have a gluten sensitivity, and a functional medicine doctor is going to be somebody that can do that test for you. But how did this all happen? How is it that nowadays in 2019 we are experiencing a lot of people with gluten sensitivities? There is a wonderful book called Wheat Belly that breaks all of this down, and I actually just read a blog post that explains something else in it that I didn't know about. So what happened was, however many years ago, not a lot, in the 1900s, they needed to figure out a way to produce the wheat crop in a way that would be more lucrative, essentially. Like that's really what happened. And what they did is they manipulated the crop. So you know that we have genetically modified crops, GMOs. And what they did is with the wheat crop in particular, they had made some changes in order to help it perform in a certain type of way because of wanting to create something that was more lucrative. And what we're experiencing is that this new version of this crop, a lot of us are experiencing issues with it. The other kicker to this though, and this is what I just read about, is that there is a preservative called Roundup, a herbicide, that is sprayed a lot of times on gluten before it is harvested. So you might also be reacting to that because it could also have some residue on the wheat plant. Okay, so there are a lot of different factors that are coming out nowadays that are helping us kind of figure out why is it that so many of us are experiencing gluten sensitivities. But this mutation to the crop is a really big one. And same thing with the herbicide. And so in Wheat Belly, the author, he ends up going and experiencing a certain type of bread. And he's very, 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 very sensitive to gluten in the sense of he'll eat it and it'll make him sick, like throwing up sick. And he ended up having this different variation and was totally fine. Okay, like absolute fine, felt great. And so it's definitely eye-opening for us to realize, well, what is actually happening to our food? How is it being grown? What pesticides are being put on it? What are we consuming? Are there nutrients left in it? Like, what really is going on? So a gluten sensitivity, do you want to avoid gluten? Yeah. But it's not the same as a gluten intolerance. So I personally have decided to live a gluten-free life. And I've been gluten-free since 2016. I allowed myself a little bit of gluten on and off. And then since 2018, I've been like, nope, no gluten at all, not happening, not entering into my body. One of the reasons why I'm so strict when it comes to gluten is that it can take up to 6 months for it to get out of your system. So if I'm going to cheat with anything, like I'll have eggs instead or dairy, like I'll pick those two things over gluten just because I know that it's harder for my body to get rid of the gluten once I've had it. You know, what is gluten in itself? What are some products that are gluten? That's gonna be all of your baked goods. Your cakes, your cookies, your muffins, your breads. There's sometimes gluten in barbecue sauces, your pasta, anything that's made with a flour, like a wheat flour. Some of your chips might have them in it, other sauces, because it's used as a thickener. Okay, gluten is something that is going to thicken whatever it is. Flour, right? We're talking about flour here. Some hidden places where gluten may be is also in the glue in tea bags and the glue in envelopes. So it can be really sneaky. If you're somebody who has celiac disease, I definitely recommend going to a website with celiac. They'll give you a breakdown as to all these different places in which gluten might be hiding. But what are some gluten-free options? So rolled oats. Oats in general are gluten-free, but a lot of times there may be cross-contamination. So if you're looking at oats, you want to make sure that on the package it says gluten-free on it. Millet, buckwheat, tapioca, any of the nut flours, coconut, almond, garbanzo bean flour, white rice flour, brown rice flour, anything that says the word gluten-free should indeed be gluten-free. You can now find, so I keep on saying this, but like this is the best time to be gluten-free, vegan, any of that stuff, because there are so many products out there that make our life 10 times easier. There are gluten-free breads, there are cake mixes, brownies, cookies, pizza crusts, like literally everything. Like you can basically find pasta, anything that you're craving that you really want that you used to eat as somebody who ate gluten, you can now get it gluten-free. Bagels, like literally everything. And a lot of places, like on cruise ships, restaurants, a lot of people are carrying products for gluten-free consumers because it is such a big market right now. It's such a big trend. And I will say, like, if you're somebody who has been experiencing just fatigue and brain fog and not really feeling right and bloating, and maybe your emotions are starting to go all over the place, see what happens if you quit gluten for a week. Just give it a week. And then reintroduce it and see how you feel, because you will then notice a reaction. What's happening right now is that your body is accustomed to you getting it, so you can't tell that you're reacting. You got to cut it out for a few days, give your body a break from it for a few days, and then make that change. But I've been living a gluten-free lifestyle since 2018, and like it's the easiest thing in the world. Like I absolutely love it. So easy. So many places have so many foods. It might also be because I'm in New York City, so I am capable of finding a lot of places. I think as a society, we could do a better job as to being more supportive when people decide to make diet changes, because they're doing that for their own health and they're doing it so that they can feel good. So I think as a society, we can do a better job of being cheerleaders and supporting people rather than, you know, talking down on them for making such a change and deciding to no longer eat gluten. And I'm saying this as somebody who has stopped eating it, and I know how good I feel without it. I truly know that it makes a really big difference in my mood and in my body when I do eat it. So the fact that I don't eat it, I feel 10 times better. And I truly wish for all of you guys to experience this type of healthy feeling and living. And once you do, you're not gonna go back. So I definitely think that as a society, we could kind of stop trashing people who are gluten-free. I mean, like, come on, guys. please, that's all I'm asking, you know? But I hope that this video helped clear some things up for you when it comes to gluten and this whole gluten trend, and help you realize that it really does make a difference. And if you're somebody who has always wanted to experiment, give it a try. And if you want help in experimenting, I am here to help you. I can guide you. I can coach you through it. But it's time for you to feel your best, right? And gluten is one of the number one things that is causing us to not feel good. It's real. And the fact that like they're putting the herbicide on before, like Roundup. That's so crazy. It just upsets me that we're being deceived, and our food is what makes our blood. Like, our food is so critical. It is rebuilding our body, and the fact that, you know, these industries are making so much money off of us, and this is what we need. Like, these are the nutrients that our body actually needs. Like, this is changing our health. Like, your health is the only thing that you have, and when your health goes, what do? Okay, so the fact that there's all these things that are impacting our health in such a way, it just kind of makes me upset. So yeah, let me know what questions you guys have about being gluten-free or finding gluten-free products, or, you know, if you want more information on it, I could definitely give you guys more information. I do have some handouts that will give you more info on like gluten-free options, but like I said, anything that's saying gluten-free, you're pretty much good to go. So that's the easiest way to figure out if this is gluten-free or not. Look at the package. And if you look at the back when you read the ingredient list, if you see flour anywhere that's unbleached flour, then you know it has gluten in it. So if you like this video, please give it a thumbs up and hit subscribe so you do not miss another video. And until next time, bye.